Oh, come on inside. How about a cup of coffee? We got 36 years of memories right here. See where we've been for the last 3 decades. Places we've been, the people we've met, I want to share those with you. This is Memories from the Shoebox. What's up, everybody? I'm back for another episode of Memories from the Shoebox. You know, we've been doing these memories now. We have probably 10 episodes, and we just did the history of Emerald City, starting from the 80s, actually from when I was in Detroit, all the way to where we are today. Realizing, once we got there, that there were some folks that came into our band, into our life, that weren't here for very long, but played a pretty big role in our success, right? That includes singers, guitar players, keyboard players, sound engineers. And what I want to do today is I want to talk about some of those great players, singers, and sound engineers. And guess who I got with me to help making sure I don't forget anything? My main man, Dwayne Hager. This guy, like I told you before, he's got a memory like an elephant. You remember everything.
Oh.
I don't know how you do it. Probably because you didn't drink. And I did. All right. Anyways, we're going to start with guitar players. I want to talk about before Adam Palma, who's our guitar player now, and he was one of the original guys. Then Dave Barnett came, and then Adam. But before Adam, there was Mike Gallaher. Mike Gallaher was part of the '83 band that Freddie Pohl helped me put together. I started Emerald City in 1980 at Abernathy's. We were doing bands, and Jim Abbott was playing the keyboards, and I think Terry Anglin on drums. That was 80. But 83 is when Freddie Pohl, the bass player, we talked about him before, but he helped put that band together, helped me put that band together. Mm-hmm. And one of the guitar players he brought into the fold was Mike Gallaher, an incredible guitar player. You can look him up on Facebook, right?
Oh, yeah.
This guy's phenomenal. And actually, Freddie Pohl and Gallaher went on to play with Leon Russell and Joe Cocker, right?
Awesome.
And Freddie was just recently working with Lindsey Buckingham from Fleetwood Mac.
Okay.
So shout out to Mike Gallaher. And you need to all check him out. Go to Facebook, look him up, because he's a phenomenal guitar player. Somebody you don't know about is Dan Sells.
Okay.
You don't know him.
Actually, I do.
No, how do you know him?
Actually, I played with Dan back in 85, 86 when I was playing with Jeanette Brantley. I subbed and played with Dan with a female vocalist named Susie Hoskins.
See.
And Dan was a guitar player.
See, we should have memories from Dwayne's Shoebox, right? Well, I remember Dan Sells as being one of the first guitar players we put together in Arlington. This is before 83. This is like 1980. The very first keyboard player was Jim Abbott when we were at Abernathy's. He went to New York, and he could read. You know, he could read and play all that Broadway stuff. So he became a rehearsal keyboardist in New York on Broadway. So when somebody wanted to do auditions, you've probably seen it before, someone has to accompany the singers, someone has to rehearse the dancers. That's what he did. But Jim went on to actually start writing music for Broadway musicals. And from what I hear, what John Aletta told me, he's on the road conducting orchestras, groups for the Broadway musicals that are on the road.
Oh, wow.
So no, he's a big player in New York. So that's Jim Abbott. Tell me about bass players. Do you know Andy Ray? When did he come into our life?
Early 80s.
Early 80s. He didn't stay long.
No, he didn't stay long.
He didn't stay long. He was there for a short while. And unfortunately, shortly after he was with us, he passed away.
Yeah, I heard he was a bad case of cancer.
Yeah, I mean, young, too. I'm talking young. He had cancer in his 20s. So that was sad. I remember that happening. There was also on drummers. Let's talk drummers for a minute. Dave Clark. If everybody remembers that photo of Emerald City back behind Memphis when we had the Hawaiian shirts on, that's Dave Clark right there. And did you ever hear him play?
No, actually I didn't, but I had a association with him. I bought cases from him probably in the late 80s. He owned a case company, I think.
Oh, that's right. And he was making cases.
Yes, and I bought a couple from him.
Okay, so he moved to Atlanta.
Yes.
Right. And then there was Terry Anglin. Terry Anglin wasn't in the band long. Now, let me tell you about Terry Anglin. So when I moved here from Detroit, I went to University of Texas in Arlington, and I was in the jazz orchestra there. And Terry showed up as the second drummer, because all the big bands had two drummers. Mm-hmm. He was the second drummer, and he and I became very, very close friends. He was like a brother. And he played in Emerald City for a while. Boy, he hit the drums hard, too.
Yeah, I heard.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I heard stories about him. He used to break kick drum pedals.
Oh, my God.
I mean, who breaks kick drum pedals?
No, he played so hard, which is, in a pop rock band, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
And unfortunately with him, after he left some years later, he passed away.
Yeah.
So he's not with us anymore.
Right.
He was a close friend, really close friend. Sound engineers. We talked about Billy Rodriguez, who passed away. Billy did a good 10 years with us, and he was one of the best live sound engineers, right? But there were a bunch of other ones, and I just want to mention some names. Tracy Burton.
Oh, remember him?
Remember him? He's early on, right?
Yes.
Early with us. And then Mike Rupp came into our life. Now, Mike Rupp and Jimmy Papa, they had a company called Grand Theft Audio. Never liked the name. I said, man, I think you should change the name of that because it sounds like you're going to rip somebody off, Grand Theft Audio. I said, no, got to change that name. But anyways, they supplied sound. They crewed. They set the gear up. But Mike Rupp is our sound engineer. He's a good sound engineer.
Greatest engineer, yes.
I think he's still sound engineering somewhere.
I think so.
Maybe. Random Access or something like that? Maybe.
Like that, yeah.
Anyways, Phil Palmer. Let's talk about Phil Palmer. Phil Palmer wasn't in the band long, but he was really good. Yes. Phil Palmer went on to go to L.A., got involved with sound audio for movies and television shows, worked on Glee, all the Glee stuff, which is a combination of, it's almost like musicals.
Yes.
So he did Glee, he did Breaking Bad.
I think he won a couple of Emmys, too.
Oh, yeah. So he's done a bunch of stuff. So y'all look him up, Phil Palmer, right?
Yes.
You might want to check him out. There was Dan Kenny for a while, and Marshall Argovitz. He was good, but he was a DJ.
Yes, he was.
He was a DJ working sound for us. That's right. And then Mark Russell. After Billy Rodriguez was Mark Russell. Now everybody knows Mark Russell. Mark's still working for Emerald City and Emerald City bands. He leads Limelight. And when Billy left, we brought Mark in. The cool thing about Mark was that, he comes in to work sound, and he's kind of like this hybrid between a geek and a musician. I mean, right? Either we're all musicians or you're a geek. But it's hard to find somebody who does both. And Mark's like that. He's a gadget guy.
Then you found out he can sing.
Find out he could sing, he plays guitar. Yeah. And that's why when I started my first Emerald City band, Limelight, that's why I put him in charge of that band.
Makes sense.
Because he could sing, he could front, he can work, he could set the PA up, he knew about lights.
Right.
He did everything.
Everything.
And that's exactly what we needed to be the head of that new band that I put together. So, yeah. And then there was Johnny Apple. Apple Man. We worked with him last night, in fact. Now, Johnny Apple, sound engineering, really good. But right back here behind me, we worked for at least 2 or 3 years together. He and I worked this studio. Wrote a lot of stuff. He did the Christmas song with me. And so he was engineering here in my studio, engineering with Emerald City. And guess what he does now?
What does he do now?
Video. Oh. You know that. He was there last night videoing you.
I wanted you to say that.
Oh, okay. Video production. I mean, he's really good videographer. Really good. So, and he's dabbling in everything,
talented.
too.
He's talented.
Yeah, I mean, he's got clothing store. He's playing golf, man. Wow. I'm going to sell everything and just move in with him. That's what I'm going to do. And then Chris Romaine came into our life. Chris Romaine, really talented guy.
Yes, he is.
Chris, sound engineer for Emerald City, but also a great studio sound engineer. And he's got his own studio in Sherman. What's the name of the place? Cameraman, what's the name of the place?
Split Window Studio.
Split Window
That's
Studio.
Right. That's right.
Look him up. And if you can sing, he'll record you too. He'll take good care of you.
There you will.
Chris Romaine's a great guy. And now Dan Miller's working sound for us live.
Yes.
So we've had all those sound engineers. Now, when we did the history of Emerald City, these were people that kind of fell in the crack. We didn't talk about them, but we got to say something about these people.
And what about singers? We had a couple of singers.
Well, I said Claire was our first vocalist.
Right.
I was wrong.
Who was it?
Okay, Elaine Garrison.
Elaine
Garrison was our first singer. And I'll tell you why I hired her. When Adam was in the band the first time, He took octaves above me. He could sing an octave above where I was at. When he left, we brought in Dave Barnett, remember?
Oh.
But Dave, he didn't sing any higher than I.
high,
Well, he
okay.
sang a little higher than me, but not that high. So we said, man, we better hire a girl. It wasn't because we were thinking, oh, we need a female vocalist. It was because we need somebody to sing the high parts. Brought her in. How long was she in the band for?
That I'm not for sure.
Not long.
Okay.
I'm going to say a year.
Okay.
Year at best. But Elaine Garris at the first one. Then after she left, we started doing some fundraisers, galas, some weddings. And that's the first time we thought, we better bring a girl in. So part-time, Linda Morgan.
Linda Morgan.
Linda Morgan. Granbury. Does she still live in Granbury?
That's a good question.
Okay.
But one thing about Linda, she always had a smile and
Oh,
a
yeah.
good spirit about that.
Oh,
girl,
yeah.
man. She was fun to be around. She was very
Love
talented.
Linda Morgan.
Very talented.
Yeah. And then maybe there was another singer for a little bit, Lisa?
Yeah, somebody that's really tall. We had a
What was her last name?
nickname, Boudreaux.
Boudreaux.
We had a nickname for her. Actually, it was Jim that nicknamed her.
What?
Big Bird.
Well, because she was taller than all of us, right? Well, I'm going to tell you something, though.
She was very talented.
She didn't last. She had to go. She moved to finish her nursing degree in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she wasn't in the band long. Well, those are some of the all-star people that we didn't get to mention the first time around, but we wanted to make sure we got to.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And I probably guarantee you that as soon as I say goodbye to you right now, I'll think of somebody else, right? We got almost 40 years.
And it'll be my fault. Because
We'll blame him.
Yeah, blame him.
No, I'll take responsibility since I'm older than you, and I can't remember stuff as good as you. But anyways, again, thanks for everybody for hanging with us and watching these Memories from the Shoebox, and share them, all right? I talked to some people that I don't even know, so, I saw your history of Emerald City, loved it. Then I run into people like my family, and they're going, hey, I haven't seen any. So make sure you share the stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because it's important. This is all about what we do, especially during this COVID thing.
Right.
We're starting to play again, by the way, everybody. And we're going to have more footage for you of Emerald City Live. Thank you very much again for making our life what it is. And we'll see you next week.